I'm Dominik, I'm the CTO of XTRF Management Systems.
And I'm Konrad, I'm XTRF's head of sales.
Wow. We have a pleasure today to discuss a nice subject, machine project management. The presentation we gave on GALA conference last week was very interesting, and many people asked to share the slides and the video, so we decided to record an extra presentation for you.
Some of the conversations we had after our presentation also changed how we see this topic right now as well, and we will have something more or slightly different than we have presented.
And to hope to be less formal. Okay, increase efficiency. Is it a challenge today?
Every client that we speak with has it maybe seen in a different way, but it all boils down to this. How can I make bigger margins? How can I reduce costs? Or how can I cope with deadlines that are getting smaller and smaller?
Okay, so is it like small customers that are asking for this, or bigger one, or corporation?
Everyone is asking about this.
Okay, so whoever you are, wherever you work, it's about your challenges. What we need to do, all of us, is to decrease costs, and it is possible by automation.
Yeah, we can help with this right now.
Okay, so why it's hard? What is all automation about?
Yes, everyone thinks that it's a magic button.
Yeah. Magic button would be nice, yeah? Like start automation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So why this magic button doesn't exist?
Well, as much as we would love to have a magic button in sales, it does not work this way. Actually, the way to get from where you are now to where you are fully automated can be rather long.
Why can it be like this? I buy a system, I install the system, then I configure automation, and finally it magically
There's
works.
the magic button.
It will be nice, yeah?
Yes.
So what's your experience? Why it doesn't happen?
The problem with this not happening is that the reality today, automation can take a lot of time to configure. Because you all want to get from the place where your project managers do something manually, you know how they do it, why they do it, and you have the system do it.
You're right. Usually we need an expert. We need an expert that first of all will detect the automation in your organization, so we'll talk with people and enlist what can be automated. Then of course configure this automation in the system, and finally persuades people to use them, to give this feeling of the control of the entire process.
Exactly.
From people to machine.
Very good choice for words, because sometimes it's about persuasion. That's why organizations have the need to automate. They know that it's going to be good for them, but there's still resistance in the organizations. People are afraid of changing.
Yeah, you're right. It's all about the culture.
Exactly.
So a few words about automation culture. What we have here?
Yeah, what you see here is a process that we, for the purpose of this demonstration, wanted to make as long as possible. You have
It can
a
be
client.
longer, believe me.
It can be the client sending the files to the PM. Everything goes into the CAD tool for creating an analysis. Based on this, you assign the translator who sends the files after they're done to the PM. The PM forwards them to the proofreader, who delivers them for the PM, who then finally gets the files to the client. I can't even say it on one breath.
Yeah, okay. So it's a very long process, but we can find an automation that can be applied to this process. So let's start with
first
the
thing
one.
you can do is where the PM does not add value, they're just handling files between one linguist and the other. You can have this step automated.
Yeah, what the other?
Yeah, when you know who you want to work with, obviously you have some people that have been doing this language combination, this specialization for you more than once. You can have them assigned automatically. This is something we have already today.
Yeah, you mean the job offering
Exactly.
model. Yeah, so for all of you that do not know what job offering model is doing, it's basically like this. You can ask potential vendors to join a project, and send emails in an automatic way to group of people. For example, first 10 can be sent first email, then in 10 minutes if nobody answer, the other 10s are addressed and so on. And finally, if one agree to get a job, the entire selection process is done and the one gets the job. So yeah, in XTRF we already implemented this feature. Yeah, so what's more?
Yeah, you can move this rectangle even further to the front of the process, where basically all the work done in the CAD tool is automated. You create the project, you analyze the files, calculate your
By
finance
this you mean
information.
like analysis of CAD tools or like more advanced integration?
For now, I'm just thinking about having a project in the CAD tool started, getting the analysis, and then calculating your payables and receivables based on this.
Oh, okay, so no more PM is touching like CAD tool.
No finance information to play with.
Great. What more?
Yeah, you see that we still have the PM in the front and in the back of the process, but why would they need to deliver the files? This can happen through the customer portal. Same with displays. The PM is just receiving the project, not adding any value. Whereas what you see here, this is a process that's fairly automated. You don't see the person of the PM actually, but what they're doing is actually adding value by having meaningful conversations with the client, not by looking at the files and forwarding them.
And moreover, it's like an ideal scenario. In many cases, some additional manual work is required to handling exceptional situation. And it is exactly the place when project manager add more value, not in regular file handling or regular email sending.
So what we've just shown you can be defined by this sentence. When we implement XTRF,
show me how you work, and I will deliver the rules, configure automation, and start them to work for you. So you see that the entire automation is based on statically configured rules that are detected in the organization that XTRF is implemented.
but this is already good, right? The slide that we have shown, where everything is automated.
Yeah, and there are lots of customers that truly benefit from this approach. Anyhow, it's limited only, let's say, to big improvements. It doesn't make sense to improve small things with such automation because the cost of this automation is quite high.
But this can be improved. That's why we are here.
Yeah, we do believe that it can be improved. So let's think why. And first the vision. So I have a dream about intelligent automation that could learn from the organization's project management history. So imagine that all the knowledge that your project manager used in project in the past could be reused in new projects, and all the automation could be created in an automatic way from this knowledge. Yeah, we are getting like 2-level ups, so I'm not talking about automations only, but about automation in creation of automations.
Yeah, this is a nice vision, but to give you an analogy that everyone can understand, we can compare it to the CAD tool. So, first, when you think about how translation was done, it was fully manual process. But when you do something once, you do it twice, then you get to copy and paste to reuse your own work. Then what we have here is a classic TM tool, and finally machine translation that can generate the content before it's even translated.
Yeah, a similar analogy to project management. We started from Excel files or folder structures, then we introduced like basic workflow systems, then we have advanced workflow system with some automation like XTRF today, and now there's like a next step, machine project management. So what's the machine project management is and why we think that's kind of future from for translation project management.
Another definition.
Another definition, yeah. So I have this academic background and I do like definitions. So what's machine project management? The ability of a management system to support, guard, lead the project management process based on the user actions taken in the past in the similar situations. So yeah, could you like rephrase it to less formal?
Well, we can probably work about a couple of more definitions, but maybe what will be...
Let's go to examples.
Exactly.
Yeah, examples are the best. Come on.
So there's this translator you work with, and you know that they can have some extra time and the file will not lay there in their inbox, they will actually improve it. So let's think about this situation. You work with this person, and instead of telling them, deliver to me Friday afternoon, where you know as a project manager you will not touch this file, you always give this guy the weekend to work on this translation.
Yeah. So my dream was like this. System could detect the situation. So it will be not like a suggestion for the very first time the situation happens. But after like few times, the system will detect, wow, this deadline is automatically changed. So the pop-up should appear, or like small question mark could pop up with this suggestion. You always modify the deadline from Friday evening to Monday morning while working with the translation name Smith. Should this logic be applied now and in the future project? And of course I can imagine that it can be applied now, it can be only a suggestion, it can be applied automatically. But the key point here is that the system detects the similarities in the project management behavior. Detect and ask, could I add automation? And this question is delivered to project manager in an automatic way.
Exactly.
No more automation configuration. They are configured in the fly. So let's switch to the next example.
Okay, so there's a client that always demands highest quality, and this is exactly what you are giving them. But from the project manager's perspective, it's not enough. They will add one final step at the end of this process, and they do it manually.
Again, the system kindly asks, while working for client Acme on project executed within a process called highest quality translation, you always manually add a step final review. So should I automatically add this step now and in the future project? Again, some idea that pop up from the system, oh guy, maybe you can automate this. Don't you repeat yourself. Maybe I could like do it for you, this action automatically in the future.
Another pattern we can predict, and another pattern we believe we can automate. So this is my favorite example.
About money.
Yeah. Exactly. So there's a project that comes 5 p.m. and if it comes on 5 p.m. on Monday, it's a different project than if it comes on Friday, because then you have to work over the weekend, and what needs to be done is a surcharge for work over weekend.
Extra money, absolutely. So in this situation, again, the system could kindly ask, you are adding a surcharge of 20% to project order on Friday afternoon with a deadline for Monday morning. Should I add such charges automatically and now in the future project? Wow, again, system detected the situation and asked project manager whether this automation should be applied or not.
An extra source of income somewhere where you didn't know it existed.
And imagine what would happen if project manager like forget about adding this 20%. Yeah, it's real money.
Exactly.
Okay, more example.
Yes. There's a person that gets assigned to a project. Most of you are probably familiar with the example of dedicated translator teams, but in this example, we look at how these teams come into play. So the system can help with this, right? Can it detect a pattern that a translator is always working with a client?
No, it's funny because even now with XTRF, you can define a process and assign like in a fixed way a given vendor to a step in the process.
But you have to know.
But you have to know who you pick up, you have to know that it's possible, you need to spend a little bit time and a few clicks to configure such a workflow. But in this situation, the system suggests you that, you always select Peter Smith for a verification step while working with Acme project. Should I do it now for you and for in the later project? So we are like trying to learn from behavior of project manager and configure what is possible even now, but in an automatic way.
Exactly. So some decisions that are made even subconsciously.
Yeah. So to sum up this nice set of ideas, what we can benefit from this kind of automation. On the left, we like displayed this nice arrow that shows you the switch from static automation rules to constant learning process. It is exactly what machine project management is about. So how to make these automation rules more flexible and pick up automatically from the project history. What's the benefit?
There's less of what we said at the beginning. So the configuration effort is getting smaller and smaller and is automated. The PMs, they actually don't need such a long learning curve, because if they're doing their job, the system can help on the way. We discussed the automatic detection of the behavior patterns, and one thing that's already possible with automation, so getting the know-how of your PMs stored in the system, is taken to a whole new level.
Yeah, definitely, because we also can detect these very small rules, small habits of your project managers that somehow are even unconscious.
Yeah.
So we grab all these details that make your company really unique. Yeah, and usually on this big automation you lose this information, and getting to machine project management you can like have this very specific behavior always addressed. You mentioned that there is less upfront automation configuration required. In my opinion, there is no automation, no configuration required at all, because we can start really from scratch with no automations, and then day by day the automation will be introduced for different project managers to help them.
Great. So how is that possible?
People and technology. I think that people, from our presentation you could see that people can very easily get used to use this technology, because there is no like a big shift or big change in the behavior. There are simply suggested some small changes, and after a week, 2 or a month, they will get to this automation level you would like them to be. And it is different than like introducing the change by external expert that will implement automations as a rules in the system.
It can even work the other way around. If you have a process that is fully automated and the system notices that actually the PM is more comfortable with doing something manually, it will suggest to turn off an automation.
Yeah. Again, we're talking about learning process. So if a project manager is constantly fighting with the automation and change the result of the automation rule, the system can also detect this and turn the automation off. Okay, so we address this people-oriented aspect, and the other aspect, of course, technology.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we need to introduce some technical aspects, and the most important element is to know what's the difference between traditional database-oriented systems and modern event-based system. So in the traditional systems, all the data are stored in a database. There are few basic operations, create, read, update, delete, that operates on this data, and basically you have only the current state of the project stored in the database. Of course, you may have like audit log or data backups that can give you the state of the project in the past, but basically you operate only on the current process state. In the modern systems that are event-driven, the project is described as a series of events. So each change in the project is an event. Of course, as a result, you have a final state of the project stored in the database. So basically for queries and so on are executed in the same way as in the traditional systems. But what you get as an extra is an event stream. You can get a project history, very detailed project history. All the events can be replayed or all the events.
All the actions that take place now have a context.
Thank you. Okay, so we have these events and then build the stream of action that been taken for the project to be in the current stage. Why it is important? Because basing on this event list, you can analyze the behaviors of user. So you can compare different projects and the list of events that happen during this project execution and know whether it's like very similar or not, whether the action taken are similar or not, what are possible next steps in the process, so we can kind of predict what should happen later on. And of course the machine project management can based on analyzing these behaviors that is stored in this event.
Yeah, that was not boring at all, but maybe we can move into some more examples.
Yeah, we can go even more further.
For now, the examples that we have given you were from a single project manager's perspective, but let's think about something that's more advanced.
Yeah, definitely it's possible, because event stream is not only the stream of the individual project manager event, but it's the series of different events done by different users, so project managers, vendors, customers, and so on, and all of them build the project history. So, Konrad,
let's think about what will happen when a translator is late.
Yeah, the translator is late because
they're late.
He's late, yeah, and system could detect the situation that the translator is usually late and suggest a project manager to make the deadline a little bit more toughened for the guy. So when the project manager is done by Mr. Smith, deadline should be 1 hour before the actual deadline, so he finally could make it in the actual deadline. Yeah, and it is the suggestion done by the system for a project manager.
If they're still late, then what the PM does is probably cut the rate, increase the rate for the reviewer, shorten the review time to be able to deliver to the client in the original deadline. Plenty of actions.
Yeah, absolutely right. So we started from a very simple action taken by the automation. Konrad just named more complex action when we modify few elements in the system. So because of the delay, system can increase rate of the next guy in the chain, decrease rate of the guy who was late, maybe also send excuse email to a customer, maybe not. I can see lots of possible situations that this automation process could learn from and then could automatically apply in the future.
So that's still single person perspective, but let's think about what we can give to the whole organization.
Wow, that's a very good question because up to now we concentrate on the individual project. So of course for an individual project manager, individual project is important, but for the entire organization, ROI and business aspects for the entire organization may be a little bit different. So it may be worth to make one project delay and win the other project. It is maybe worth to reschedule a little bit vendors to increase profitability of the entire company, not individual project.
So again, if this is something that you do in your organization, the system can see that pattern and suggest these decisions so that they are made compliantly in the whole organization.
Yeah, but usually it's like that. If project manager book a vendor for a given period of time, it is rather not something that will change. So you can imagine that for a very short job you book a guy for 1 hour, but in the same time there was a request that the guy could work for an entire day or 2, and it would be nicer or more promising from the ROI perspective to change the the guy, the vendor for the small job to a little bit more expensive, but get this cheaper guy to the longer project. So this kind of optimization could also happen as a result of machine project management.
And probably plenty more examples that by now you can think of with what we have.
I think that we can ask you for more examples. You think that there are elements in the organization that could be automated in that way, just drop out an email. In the current phase of this project, we're really open for analyzing more and more examples. So wow, if you have more ideas, do not hesitate to contact us.
So what we want to leave you with today is two things.
Two things. First of all, promote automation culture, because as we started with, automation is a cultural change, not only technology.
And the second one is, when you make choices for the future, choose smartly. Choose a technology that can learn with you and stay with you in the future.
Yeah, and it's important to collect the knowledge of your organization even now. So, okay, it's not the speech, the sales presentation, but we can say that Smart Project currently collect all the events in the projects. So even machine project management is not yet available, you can collect all the events in the organization when using XTRF Smart Projects. Wow, thank you. It was a pleasure for us to talk to you. To hope to repeat this session, maybe on other subject. We'll see how that.
Why not?
Thank you.